Welcome to another episode of Requesting Good Company. Today we are reviewing Week 6, Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cleveland Browns. Today we got Craig Cole with us and John Wimple, and it's a 20-16 Eagles victory in Week 6, coming off of a bye. Um, my initial thoughts for the game is obviously I think it was a decent win, but not a fun win. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't easy by any means. So Craig, your team is the Browns, obviously.
Yes. Um, I will say that I'm disappointed and anyone who played any type of competitive sport, you can see that Deshaun Watson's just cashing it in. I don't know what's happened to him. Well, I do know what's happened to him, but you go back to 2019 and you had Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, and then literally Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson are right there. And I was talking to one of my friends during the game, and I said, it probably is, with the exception of the Babe Ruth trade um, from Boston to New York. I don't think there's ever been a worse trade in the history of any professional sport. So,
Yikes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he was at a pinnacle for a minute there when he was with the Texans. He was
yeah.
he was a fantasy, nightmare. You're getting him. He's running, he's throwing bombs.
Yeah.
He
He had,
doesn't look like the same player for sure
I,
now.
I think he had like 35 touchdowns one year. So and like 8 interceptions. And yeah, I don't know what happened, but his passes were off. It's unfortunate because we still owe him about 120 million. Divide that by the next 2 years salary hits, so it's going to really limit our ability to get free agents as well. That's about a third of our salary for both of the upcoming years. Um, One thing I've heard chatter on is what they may try to do is they may try to sort of like what they did with Brock Osweiler, where they may try to move his salary to another team, but that would force us to probably give up our first round draft pick. So it's just that not only is he playing bad, it's a compounded effort of him um, just really making it where we can't make the moves you would expect a bad team to be able to make.
Thanks.
Yeah.
John, you got anything on the Browns?
Yeah, obviously, whenever they made that deal, it was head scratching. Some would even point as far to say as sold their soul for a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly shouldn't have moved off of Baker Mayfield, but at that time, coming off the allegations that he had, coming off what he had done as a player, we're talking about a guy that had the Kansas City Chiefs down
Mm-hmm.
24 to nothing in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes up against Patrick Mahomes and led that game 24 to nothing. You can maybe point a finger at Bill O'Brien as kind of being one of the leaders of Deshaun Watson's demise. Obviously, his legal issues raised a lot of red flags. But, I just don't know where the Browns go from here, especially in that situation, because you have Jameis Winston sitting there behind him, but I would think that Stefanski and was it Andrew Barry
Yeah.
is the general manager who actually spent some time with Harry Roseman in Philadelphia. Um, they're probably going to be on the hot seat if they're not already. The moment that they do decide to whether it's bench Deshaun or cut ties with him at the end of the season, because ownership's not going to look too kindly at that move. They're playing still without Nick Chubb. Didn't enter the lineup today. Um, they had added Jerry Judy in the offseason, just weren't able to get him or Amari Cooper going today. And, from the Eagles standpoint, had a better quarterback been out there, had Jameis Winston been out there, this game could have went a different direction. But to only muster up, was it not 9 points from
Yeah.
and touchdown with one touchdown, which came off a block kick. they hit their season average of 16 points on the day.
Yeah.
So, I know Browns fans are frustrated, and they're coming into the season, a little bit how the Eagles have in these first 4 weeks. For the first 4 weeks for the Eagles, where it was just high expectations, and your quarterback's not playing up to par, and it's holding the team back because they got a really good defense.
Yeah, Miles Garrett is
Yeah.
nasty in
Yeah.
every aspect of the game of defense. He is nasty. Um, when he jumped over somebody for a
Yeah.
block field goal. Like I was questioning myself. I was like, I thought the rule was they couldn't jump over. No, it's jumping over a certain player, I guess.
Yeah. They're allowed to jump. You just can't touch anyone. So
Yeah.
if you do it and you touch someone, it's a penalty. But if you jump without touching someone, there's a video. I think you can find it on YouTube where it's him doing a standing 6-foot box jump. So just fathom this. This is a guy who's about
It's a
six
freak.
six, and he can literally do a standing. I mean, that's like comic book, where he can do a standing 6-foot jump. So yeah, yeah.
It's
Um,
insane. Do
Pretty
you
good
think,
basketball player too, based on what I've
yes,
seen.
yeah, yeah,
yeah, windmill dunking and stuff? I've seen a video.
yeah. I
It's
know.
insane. Do you think that the offensive troubles will be somewhat fixed when Nick Chubb gets back next week? I have him in two of my fantasy leagues. He's just been on my IR position.
I think that we're at the point of how bad we are that it's unfortunate that Nick Chubb and Miles Garrett are playing for us because they're both certainly Miles Garrett's a Hall of Famer. Nick Chubb is probably will be a Hall of Famer. But for them to waste the prime of their careers with a team that's probably going to go 2-14, maybe 1-16 is pretty bad. But with that said, you saw in the game today that we did. I don't want to say establish, but we were better towards the end of the third quarter, entering the fourth quarter, in running the ball. And I think a lot of it has to do with Conklin is still one of the best run blocking tackles in the NFL, and Batonio's our right guard is still one of the best guards in the NFL, certainly at run blocking. So I think Nick Chubb may help. I think that the real issue is what they're doing is, you look at Stefanski, and he comes from this um, double back, sort of like the Shanahan offense where, play action, bootlegs off the play action. And Deshaun Watson's not that type of quarterback. So if they were running an offense that was more in line with what you've seen Stefanski do in Minnesota and in Cleveland, I think it would help. But right now, I don't see it helping a lot. It might help because they might have to put two more people in the box. But let's face it, Deshaun Watson can't throw a 20-yard out route at this point. So I don't see how it's really going to help unless they change quarterbacks. Because, for all Jameis Winston's issues, he does throw the ball. I think he had like 5,000 yards passing his last full season as a starter. So,
That's when he posted
yeah,
30 touchdowns,
yeah,
36, I believe. Yeah.
yeah. So he does
Uh,
gunsling.
Sometimes when you bring a guy into the offense, it uh it lifts the spirits, lifts the morale of,
Yeah,
of the football team, and I think that's something that's desperately lacking. I think this is a decision if the Browns want to try to save the season whatsoever, that move has to be made this week,
yeah,
I think. And I think adding Jameis to the lineup. Personally, I'm glad they didn't come into the game today because
yeah,
I really we can, we're sitting here after a win, and like Avery said at the beginning, obviously not happy with a win, which isn't the way that you want to approach
yeah,
these things, but nonetheless was a win. And I thought that we could see Jameis Winston today. Turns out we only got him for that one. It was just one quarterback sneak,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
and I think that you saw that horrible throw to Amari Cooper where you had two Eagles collide,
yep.
but Amari Cooper was wide open and
Yeah.
he just yeah Deshaun Watson just threw a horrible pass.
Didn't have
And
enough on it.
yeah, and that's something, he had a clean pocket. Those are things, especially as a $230 million quarterback, that should be elementary. So,
In Deshaun Watson's defense, which I usually won't do,
yeah.
he did throw to Amari Cooper 3 times, and Amari Cooper dropped the ball.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So we have to put that in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, while we're on the topic of that play, Chauncey, get out of the way so Quingy can make
Yeah.
the pick.
Yeah.
He
We're
was
still
mad
waiting
on that.
on we're still waiting on Quinyon to get that first interception, man. He's played so good.
Yeah.
He was mad at him too. You can see it was a
Mm-hmm.
verbal communication right there. It was like, come
Yep.
on, bro, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
But, just something for an outsider. I think, all three of us have played football at some level. But just looking at the game and your guys' strategy, if you get Barkley, especially as you get late in the season, and you play maybe the Ravens, you play the Steelers, you play the Cowboys. Well, the Cowboys aren't looking good right now, so let's say you play the Lions in the playoffs. Your guys' ability to use Barkley and then use the push to control maybe the last 5 minutes of a half or the last 5 minutes of a game is going to be something that's going to be really. It's almost like having a great bullpen closer in baseball. You can control 4 minutes of the game if you have to at that point. So that's something that if you guys do get in the playoffs, that's going to be a real good weapon for you guys.
I think with the Eagles, our main thing is we have to put up points.
Yeah,
We've established that if we don't put up points, we don't win. Obviously,
yeah,
like our defense is good, but they can only do so much. With today, coming off a bye, coming off a bunch of criticism, I expected the Eagles to put up big numbers. I expected AJ to get used heavily. He did get used heavily. We did not put up big numbers. Um, it was good to have AJ and Devontae Smith back, but same thing. Every time somebody comes back, we lose somebody. Looks like Jordan Malata is going to be
yeah.
out. Who knows
Eh,
how long he's on
Heavy
crutches.
limp after
yeah.
the game on
Eh,
crutches.
as a
Goddard
as
out.
yeah, as an outsider, like looking at this game, I think from a coach's perspective, this is probably the best win you guys could have. It's really still the mid part of the season, and you guys did get the win, but you were complacent coming off of a bye. So I think for leadership on the team, this is probably a good teaching moment for you guys to get better as well.
I agree. You
Mm.
you throw AJ Brown back into the offense, and obviously he opens up so much more for what the Eagles can do. Holding two just great catches and single coverage. Jalen just throwing it up and putting it to him.
Mhm.
Second one was a little underthrown, but it did put the game away. I think, just having that guy back, and people forget, looking at our offense just dating back into the last month of the season last year, they didn't have healthy AJ Brown for the regular season finale against the Giants last year. They didn't have AJ Brown for that playoff game. He played week 1 and then he had missed all the games in between until today. And I think that, it just goes to show he's one of the very best players
Yeah.
in this league. Having him out there, having healthy Devontae Smith, Calcaterra made some big plays today
Hmm.
with Goddard going down. A win is a win in this league. I think that we were up against one of the best front sevens in all football that countered Saquon's ability to break one free. If Landon Dickerson gets out of his way, he probably would have broke
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So, a tough day on the ground for Saquon, but I'm obviously not upset. Now is just about stringing wins together.
Hmm.
You can get this ugly one out of the way. People are going to talk all week, but at the end of the day, Jalen played a clean game on the ground. We gave up 9 points on defense. It's time to go. It's
It's
time to
the
go. It's time to string
Yeah.
wins together. You have easy games coming up on your schedule. You're a more talented football team than the New York Giants. You should beat them next week. You are a better football team as of right now than the Cincinnati Bengals. You should beat them in
Yes.
2 weeks. So, I
talk your
like where
stuff,
we're at.
man.
It's time to just get started. Time to just get rolling. The criticism of Sirianni has to stop. It has to stop. If you want this team to succeed, it doesn't help when the entire city is behind you saying, "Oh, we need to fire the coach. Oh, we need to get a new quarterback." He played a clean game today. He played a clean game. He
No
played.
fumbles, no interceptions. First game in a long time.
Yeah, yeah. I
A-
mean, how
and
can you
for
not be
no,
happy with how he played?
yeah, and for the Browns' struggles, we do have Ward and Newsome. Ward is probably top 5 defensive back. Newsome's probably a top 10. So take that in consideration too. We're a bad team, but our front 5 and our back 3 are some of the best in the NFL.
Mhm.
I got a question for you,
Yeah.
Craig.
Yeah.
I got your next 5 games pulled out. I need
Okay.
you to tell me how many of these are going to be wins.
Yes.
The Bengals next.
You know what? We always, you can even ask a Bengals fan this, when we are bad, we still split with the Bengals. So I think that game is at Cleveland. I think we may actually win that one.
I need you
They've
to lose that one because
eh,
we played them after that. So
Yeah, yeah,
they've given Burrow a lot of fits since he's came
yeah,
into the league for sure.
Miles
yeah.
Garrett is a
Well,
monster.
we're I think we're 6-2, which is amazing for a Cleveland Browns team. I think we're 6-2 against Burrow, which is
That's nice.
pretty incredible. Yeah,
I'm gonna say they win that game next week. I think they
yeah.
win.
I hope they don't though. We got them
I
the
think they're
following
gonna
week.
say I think they're gonna realize today, hey, we messed up. Hey, we probably should have pulled the trigger a week early. And I think Jameis Winston will start a quarterback for the Cleveland
Yeah.
Browns next week.
And
Okay.
Chubb's back next week too, so it's his first game back in Cleveland.
Following game, you got the Ravens
No,
at the
no,
Browns again.
no. We may lose that by 3 scores the way they're
You got
playing.
3 home games coming up.
I know, I know.
Then you got the Chargers.
Yeah, no, no.
Oh, I think y'all can get the Chargers.
Well, we may, just because it's going to be a cold weather team, and we're a cold weather team. It'll be cold, and they're coming from the East Coast and so forth. So you have a possibility, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Okay. Then you got the Saints at the
um, yeah, that's unlikely. I mean, the ironic thing is, if you guys saw Baker Mayfield today, what did he throw? 5 touchdowns. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Finished with 3
Oh,
interceptions.
okay,
Just
3
very,
interceptions. Yeah,
very gunslinger game.
yeah,
I watched the Eagles game on delay, so I didn't get to see many of the highlights that were going on across the
yeah,
league. But New Orleans looks. Of course, they started Spencer Rattler today,
yeah,
quarterback. I thought Derek Carr looked pretty good on Monday, and obviously was playing really well to start the season, but looking a little fraudulent after that 2-0 start. Of course, the Eagles went down there
yeah,
and took care of them in that wild game. But I think that's a winnable game for the
yeah,
Browns.
yeah,
Next. And then you got the Steelers on Thursday night, prime time.
yeah. You know, the only thing I'll say is we do have a good front 7 and front 5, and Justin Fields does struggle. Well, he did in Chicago when you get pressure on him. But I don't see us having a win. Maybe against the Bengals we get a win, and I don't. I'm sure we'll win one more, but I don't see us winning more than 3 more games the rest of the year.
Dang.
Again, if they switch to Winston, maybe. I think the team, you can tell in the body language, the team has given up on Deshaun Watson. I think there's some resentment that the amount of money he gets and the lack of effort.
That's sad because there's so much
Yeah,
talent there.
I know.
Joku's back. He's nasty. He's
Yeah,
nasty.
So if you think it's a lost season going into next year, and we're fastly approaching the trade deadline. I
yeah.
mean, who are players that you think are available on this team?
On this team, I'm going to go back to my last point. I don't think anyone's going to really get Chubb because he's sort of unknown, even though he's proven it before with the knee. Um, I hate to say it, but Miles Garrett, I would, if someone wanted to give us 2 first rounds for Miles Garrett, I would do it.
We need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Like, and still, you're a team that's
That
competing
would be
this year. Could
sick.
you would do that in a heartbeat? Yeah, 2 first round picks for him.
Two is a lot.
Although, and
Yeah,
a lot of this could have to do with the fact of the quarterback of Deshaun Watson playing quarterback today.
Yeah,
But the best effort of the Eagles defensive line of the season to
yeah.
come through with 5 sacks, that was an area that me and Avery have diagnosed on this podcast over the last few weeks. I don't know what Bryce Huff ended up with today, but
Did you
uh,
see it was started? Did you see the end of the third quarter where we were down on like the Browns were down at the 4 yard line, and it showed that they didn't even want to try to pass. Where
mhm,
there's, I think they did 2 draws right away. They're like, oh,
mhm,
we're just going to give up. We're just going to do 2 draws. So that was a homage to you guys' defensive line.
mhm.
Yeah,
I know Carter got one, and then Ojamo came on in relief and
yeah,
got one.
Two. He got two, and Josh Sweat got one.
Okay, yeah. So yeah,
And
maybe.
BG. And
Yeah.
BG still doing it.
Yep.
yeah. Now,
Yep.
is that your cousin Sweat, or does he play for the
Nah,
Bears?
my
Okay,
cousin plays for Chicago.
okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
So yeah, if y'all want to go ahead and pass Miles Garrett off for a first round and maybe second round, we'll take
Well,
that on.
two first
Well,
rounds.
yeah, take
Yeah, I'd
two of
take
Two,
them
two
for
two.
first
sure.
round is almost insane.
I mean, he's arguably the
Well,
best defensive player in the league, though.
they
I mean,
got
he's the
Mac
reigning
for
defensive player
three.
of the year.
Yeah,
All I need is Mari Cooper not to go back to the Cowboys. That would be
yeah,
nice because I feel
yeah,
like the Cowboys are going to try to make a bunch of moves before the trade
yeah,
deadline. I
yeah.
hope
They're in
that.
trouble. They're in
I
trouble.
think we do have to trade for
I think they're
picks
down by 40
because,
right now.
yeah, we're gonna have to have someone take the only way, and it makes sense. The only way we're gonna be get out of our salary cap um, flood is to get a team to take, let's say, half of Deshaun Watson's salary, about 80 million, as a cap hit, and we would give them a first round pick for that. And it's unfortunate, but that's what we're probably going to have to do. So we're going to need. We have probably the first or second overall draft pick this season. I wouldn't do that pick, but maybe if we can somehow pick up an Eagles first round draft pick for Miles Garrett, um, you know, I would do that because 80 million um, in salary cap is a lot of money.
We don't have the money for Miles Garrett.
Yeah,
I need I
I
need
know.
that to be said. We don't
He's
have.
in
Yeah,
contract number two too, right?
yeah, he
He's
is.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
So he's probably one of the higher paid players in the league.
yeah. I think it's like 126 million or something like
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Depending on what happened with Goddard, the Hokie might be
Mhm.
nice.
Y'all can have
Yeah.
Slay.
Yeah. I
Oh,
know.
you can.
Yeah.
Slay's
Yeah.
all right, man. He got hurt too today.
Uh,
Everybody got hurt.
I
So
did. I did win my bet though, because I bet the Browns to cover because it got up to 9.5, and I think the it was 43 on the over, and I bet that the Browns would cover the 9.5. It got down to, I think, 7.5, but that they would cover that and that it would be the under. So I won about $40 too today.
Nice.
Yeah.
if Saquon would have had 3 more yards, I'd have hit big.
Yeah.
He stopped with like
Yeah.
47 yards.
Now, my buddy Aaron Avery, you remember him from CTS, but he did something crazy. He did like $5 for 7 touchdowns. I'll send you guys the video here on the text stream. But he ended up winning like 647 because he had 7 touchdowns.
It's good
Nice.
money.
Yeah.
So getting into the Eagles' next 5 games,
Yeah.
Eagles Giants.
Feel good. I feel really good. You
Okay.
know, we're a more talented football team going to New York. You know, we're going to be up against well, neighbors will be back next week. I'll be interested to see how the Giants look tonight. You know, if they can move the ball without Malik Neighbors in the lineup against a bad Cincinnati defense, and you know maybe I won't be feeling as good, but this is a team that we've dominated. You know, over the last 15 years. You know, if you really look at the history of the Eagles and Giants over the last 15 years or so, it's very lopsided. The Eagles have won, I would say, probably at least 80% of those games. So I feel pretty good about that one. I think we win and you know we move to 4-2.
Do you have love for Wandale Robinson on the Giants?
Of course, yeah. I mean he's a good pro. One of the best players to ever play at Kentucky. I only had him for 1 year, but he was very good here.
Then we turn around. We got the Bengals at Cincinnati.
I'm hoping to be there. But they are capping on their tickets still, man.
I need them to
150 for standing room only. I'm like, y'all are 1 and 4, man.
if they lose tonight, I feel like the tickets will be like
They
$5 a
should.
box of
Yeah.
cigarettes or something.
They should drop like crazy. I am begging for a win in that stadium because I went to my first NFL game in 2008 and Donald McNabb didn't know you could tie, and I was at that game. It was 20 degrees
Yeah.
outside. You get that wind whipping off that river, man. It is cold. So a little bit earlier in the season this time, uh we the Eagles haven't beat the Bengals since 2000, and a lot of Bengals fans probably be impressed at the fact that I even revealed that on this podcast. But with so many Bengals fans that me and Avery know personally, it's one we want to win for sure.
For sure. That's gonna be tough. Jaguars at Philly, easy money.
Should be,
Put a
should be.
hundred on it today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we go
Uh,
into nasty work with the Cowboys at Dallas.
they typically play us very well, man. It seems like all those games come down to the wire. A lot of them do. Um, based on what I've seen out of Dallas this season, not very impressive, but they're a team that can flip a switch. Dak has good games and he has really bad games, and he's had a lot of good games against the Eagles, unfortunately.
I bet you they changed that Jaguars Eagles game because that's the 8 o'clock game on Peacock. They're gonna change
They'll flex it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then I think that the Commanders Eagles game, which is that Thursday night, is going to be the best primetime game you'll get to see all year.
maybe so. It should be a back and forth game, I would think.
I see five
Well,
wins. And
speaking of the Cowboys, I just pulled up the lines are beating them 47-9 right now.
that's gross. That's that's gross. I hate
I know.
that.
Not in relation to the Cowboys or to the Browns or the Eagles.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions and the undefeated Minnesota Vikings play next Sunday. So that
Yeah.
should be very interesting, and we'll start to get some more clarity on who the best team in the NFC might be. San Fran was impressive the other night as well. I think they're going to get rolling.
Yeah.
So the Eagles really have to they have to keep winning to keep themselves in the conversation for what our hopes and dreams are at the end of the season, and keep pace with the Lions, keep pace with these Vikings that they're for real, which through a month of the season they very much look that way. Will the 49ers get Christian McCaffrey back? Certainly doesn't seem that way to me, but Purdy's playing well. They got Debo back in the lineup the other night. There are some good teams across the conference that I think can give the Eagles problems. But the Eagles are good enough to play with these teams. They just have to get the coaching issues out of the way, get clean up the offense, which it was clean today, and play the way you play defense today. And hopefully you can make a run here.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for being on the pod today. It's
Thank
another
you.
episode of Requesting Good
Yeah.
Company.